Hey, what's going on, man? It's your boy Sammy Rigaud. Once again, welcome to the Sammy Rigaud podcast. It's a special opportunity today. This is going to be a really good one. I have my friend with me, Adler. Adler, what I be thinking about, like when we first talked about you coming on, the first thing I thought about was, you might not even remember, but I want to say 15, you were 16.
Okay.
And your dad came over to my uncle's house.
Yeah.
And he came in and he just was like, man, I don't know what to do with Adler. I don't know what's going on. And my uncle was like, well, if you think he's bad, Sammy's even worse. And I was like, damn, man, these guys out here just talking bad about us. And he was like, you know, you're 1 year older, but they made it look like we was like the worst of the worst.
Right.
And I think if they were to be, God bless my uncle soul who passed away, COVID, if they were to be here, and what they would look at us and, you know, the goals that they have for us was like, be a husband,
Right.
like check.
Right.
Be a father,
Right.
check for you, about to be check for me.
Right.
Be, you know, providers for these families that they want.
Right.
And yeah, man, so I feel like in a way, you know, there's no such thing as looking down on them. But I think for my uncle, I can say if he was here and he was to have that same conversation that was like 15, almost 20 years ago, they would look and be like, dang.
It's crazy.
We was out there on that Saturday morning talking mess about these boys who knew what kind of men they would become, man. And I think that's kind of where I want to keep it, man. This is the Sammy Rigaud podcast. We are sponsored by the Georgia Educators for Equity and Justice. They are an organization focused on elevating the teaching profession with a focus on equipping and creating supportive environments for Black educators. They're all over the Southeast, and they're based out of Atlanta. These are friends that you will want to connect with. I put their info in the description, and you guys can check them out. Once again, we are sponsored by the Georgia Education and Equity for Justice, right? So I got Adler here. Adler, I got one of these corny bios, so let me read it, because that's what we do. We gotta read it. Adler Corvil is a Haitian American, originally from Naples, Florida. He's a minister who has spent over a decade in Tallahassee. He was in there for 10 years. Yeah. Tallahassee is known as one of the nation's top party towns, but Adler spent all his time transitioning youth out of that lifestyle, really saving lives, you know what I mean? And we'll get into that too. He's a dynamic speaker, storyteller, and teacher who now serves down in South Florida. So welcome to the show, man. This is the space, man.
Yo, we here.
It's weird because like we're friends, so it's like we just turn cameras on.
It's crazy, man. We go back, man.
Yeah. You don't have an embarrassing story for me, do you?
Bro, I got a couple of them, man, but like, woo, where do I go? Honestly, bro, like, I gotta say, so because we come up together, Sammy made that transition from Miami up to Naples when he was real young.
Yeah.
And I'll be real with you, man, you were the new guy in the block, so there was a lot of hate towards you. Plus, your boy was going through some identity stuff, and so your boy was dark, and I don't know what. And Sammy put up as the new yellow boy on the block, and so there was a lot of hate, man, but he instantly became one of the homies, and so, no, man, it's all love now, but back then, bro, hey, it was none of that. It was a lot of hate, bro.
Nah, man, like, I always tell people, man, like, I was living like a double life, man. I was in Miami. I was in Naples. I had friends here. I went back to Miami. They're like, you got friends over there? I'm like, yeah, man. Naples is a pretty cool place, man. And we got a bunch of people out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, that's cool, man. We come a long way. I want to say 20 years of friendship, probably, right?
Yeah, bro.
I've been at your wedding. You was at mine.
Yeah.
I've heard you speak. You've heard me speak.
Yeah. It's crazy, but like, if we
It's
could take them a
parallel.
little,
It's
it really
parallel.
is.
Yeah, it's
It really
parallel.
is.
It's
And I mean,
parallel.
to be real, like where I'm at right now in life,
Yeah.
you know, we've always been into music.
Yeah.
This dude, man, a dynamic leader, influencer. Like, not many people don't follow Sammy's lead. And if he has any kind of like foresight into where something could go, man, people jump on that. Cause like you've shown over time that like, all right, if you got a vision for something, you follow through with it, and it's always tried and tested, and it comes back with some great results. But if I can go back a little bit,
Yeah.
man, we had two different camps. At
Yeah.
one point, we had two
Yeah.
different music
Yeah.
camps,
Yeah.
and like from afar, man, I've always aspired to be like y'all boys, but just you know how it is, man. When there's a story being written that at some level you feel like you can't control and you don't know how to navigate it. I mean, you
Yeah.
grow to be inspired by what you can't attain.
Yeah.
Until finally it's like, wait, hold on. Like, there's too much similarities. Like, and then, you know, so we'll get into it. But like, man, to be real, 14 years ago today, man, was just this huge crossover in my life where, I mean, I put down some things to pick up something greater.
Facts. So let's talk about that. So, I don't like necessarily talking about faith a lot of times on these kind of platforms just because like people stereotype you, right? If I say, hey, I got a pastor, it's like, okay, praise God, hallelujah. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a kind of thing. But I think what's dope about you is you had an authentic conversion. You had an authentic and like relationship now. So everything kind of still transfers over. So I can call Adler and talk about sports and it's not a big deal. It's not like we got to pray on the phone all the time. We got to do all this. Let me ask you this, man. How do you think the faith world misses out on the rest of the culture? Like, what do you think like the disconnect is when people are in the faith and then they just there's a disconnect about everything else? Like, what do you think about that?
I think one of the first things that come to mind, bro, is it's people forget where they came from.
Facts.
And I think when you put that down to try to transform into this new person, bro, there's a collision. It's like, just be real. Like, I know you changed, but just yesterday,
You was
bro,
on something else.
you know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I think there's a way to appreciate where you come from and like even be motivated to not go back to some of the toxicity in your past. But I think a lot of people in the faith, they miss out on really connecting with what's happening around them because they forget where they come from, man. And like more than not trying to go back to where you used to be, don't forget, like there's people who used to be on the same thing you used to be on. And so I've tried to fight to really stay connected to the kind of people that like I used to be on. You know, the kind of people I used to be like.
Yeah,
Right.
used to be
And
like.
so,
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the biggest things that people in the faith miss out on is like they become this new person and just forget that like, hey, you used to be a completely different person.
And you know,
World still exists.
you know what's dope, funny about that? I remember it took me a while to like seriously take my faith serious, but seriously take my faith serious. Okay. But I remember like I just would look at certain folk and I'm like, dang, like you're not even real anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like you're telling me you never have no other moments. Like all you do is that, and it's like, I don't know. I don't think that's for me. So that pushed me away for a long time. I was on some like I don't want to be around that. I don't want to be around that. I think what I saw with you in Tallahassee and them churches, man, and them youth group, like I would see like people gravitating towards you because you was authentic, man, and you was real with people, and people need that. You know what I'm saying? I think for me, like one of the things I do on my platform anywhere is I'm just honest. I don't try to put a bow on everything. I don't try to like make it look like something because at the end of the day, it's like, bro, like you go through things. You know, last year I lost my dad and I wasn't motivating anybody. I didn't have no inspiration. I was just honest. Like I'm in therapy. Yo, I'm doing this. Yo, I'm doing that. And I think people gravitated towards that in a whole nother way because they're like, oh, snap. Like, yo, that's Sammy. Like, you know what I mean? So I think people gravitate towards authenticity and realness. And to keep it real, man, like you're in a situation now, like you are, I got careful how we start that part, but you are in a new space, right? You are a youth minister. I say minister because you do everybody, but you're you, and you're in a setting where the people in front of you are predominantly white, Caucasian, some Hispanic. What challenges are in that, and do you feel like you belong there? That's the two questions. And I'll start it up by saying I was in that situation probably 8 years ago when I worked for a church down in West Palm Beach, and I struggled. I struggle because like folks like my gift, but they're trying to tailor it to fit what they want. Right, Sammy, you so creative. Can you make flyers for us? Yeah, I'd look at it and they're like, yeah, but can you take that saying off? Can you take that down? Or why are the kids? Because I was working with the kids. Why are they posing like that? Like, like yo, that's how you engage with them, right? So I struggled to the point where, even the way like I would interact with people, they were like, oh man, like I wish you kind of thing. And I could, even if they weren't saying it, I would see it. I could feel like they're trying to like, and I don't want to say water me down because they good people, right. But there is an element of like change. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that where you're at, and do you feel like you belong?
Now, I like that question, man. So where I'm at, man, where I'm serving, here's what I'm true to, man. Going back to that word you use, authenticity and just really being me. At the end of the day, man, yeah, I'm a black man, Haitian American, like, but sadly, that doesn't define me, man. Like, my identity is solely rooted in Christ. Yeah. And so, as one who has said yes to Christ, man, to be sent wherever, to speak to whoever, I bring me. And so, when people interview me, when people sit down with me, they're going to know that, like, all right, this man is true to who he is. Now, there are some challenges because wherever you go, and if you're the minority, man, there's going to be moments of being misunderstood. For sure. Being looked upon differently, or being even called for certain things that it's because of your background. For sure. Yeah. Right? Yeah, and so with that, man, I would say the biggest challenge is the misunderstanding, because what I've often taught people is like, man, whenever you enter a new season or a new group with people, be aware of these two things. Number one, that there's no other person in that group like you. Like, you are unique. Yeah. And then secondly, you're not in competition with nobody around you. I don't know for you, babe, man, but the environments I struggle in most is the environments where people feel like they got to compete with me, right? Yeah. Where they got to be like a 2.0 version of me. It's like, come on, be you, I'm going to be me. Yeah. And so a lot of times, man, when people don't do the hard work of trying to get to know who you are, past your skin color, past your racial background, man, that's past where you get interest. Past your interest, right? Yeah. And so I've been big on, like, man, really getting to know people at their story. Like, man, why do you respond the way you do? Like, why do you prefer this over that? And so I think a lot of time, man, the people I struggle really gelling with is those who just don't do that work to really try to get to know who I really am, man.
Yeah, in the classroom, one of the worst things I go through is like I didn't do good in school. I didn't like school, right? As a younger kid, I didn't like school. Same here, man. I know you. We didn't like school, but part of it was like I couldn't relate to anything. The content, the style of it, like, the ego of the teacher. Like, I hated that. So now that I'm in the school system, like I'm in 10 years, shoot, I don't bring in the ego in there. I don't try to be mundane and routine and style wise, and I try to have kids be individualistic. That being said, I get so much hate from other people in the building, because it's like, it don't take all that, or that's different, right? So I feel like you could relate to a little bit of that, because it's like, you have energy, right? You loud. I done put the mic down twice already. You came in high. There's no other way for you, right? There's no other way for you. You guys watching earlier, don't worry. You see I put it down now. But there's conflict in that, because folks kind of want you in a way. And I always say, like, when you're confident, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. When you're confident in what you do, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. People look at you and they're like, whatever. And with others who are insecure or worry about their self-image, people love those people. People gravitate towards that because it doesn't make their insecurities loud. It keeps it quiet, so they feel the same. But whenever you have confidence, or you have, like, you take pride in what you do and how you deliver things, people just kind of, people rebel against that because it reminds them of what they can't do.
Right, bro. I'll be real with you, man. So you speaking into this environment that I'm in, bro. When I first transitioned into that, because keep in mind, in Tallahassee, the people I spoke to, the people I did life with were predominantly black.
For sure.
And so coming down here, it was
You've been down here for 2 years?
Bro, a year and
Year
like
and a half.
2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when I first got down there, going back to what you're saying, like where people are sometimes intimidated by confidence, man, I had somebody who literally was just micromanaging me. And keep in mind, you a colleague. You're not even my superior. When it all boiled down, bro wanted he wanted my job and felt like he could do it better than me. Although through authenticity, he watched how like, oh man, like they gravitate towards this dude. And like I said the same thing he said, but why didn't it get the same effectiveness? And I mean, long story short, he's no longer a colleague, but just because I'm gonna be real with you, man. Like when you bring authenticity to the table and you bring who you are and you're respectful about meeting people where they're at, man, you'll watch how even though some people don't understand you on the front end, as they choose to do life with you, there's this respect that comes along the way. And so this individual, man, he couldn't understand how this dude could get this kind of job, how this dude with that kind of background, like we done seen your past, we heard of your past, we know some of your friend group. Man, I could do your job better, but come to see it, man, like when God is on something, when God takes something that's ordinary, when God takes a person's story that should have been said, that should have played out to go one way, and when God breathes on that, when God puts his hand on that, bro, I hate to say it, but you almost come invincible, man, because God is truly leading and guiding you.
I look at the story of Mary and Martha, right? And we don't even talk Bible like that on here, but it's just going there. And when Jesus is like, she did the right thing. She stayed by my side. And he says something, he says, what I put in her hand, like what she has in her hand can never be taken from her. And I tell my students that. I don't crack the Bible open and tell them that, but I'm like, everybody's been given a gift. Everybody's has a specific talent, skill set, gift, calling, anointing, a little one, right? That you have, that's yours. That's different from mine, yours. It's different from everybody. It might look like it, right? But it's different. And I think the more we walk and we pursue that, the better we will be in everything.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Like the comparison kills. The comparison kills. But I think the key to getting out of that is going, hey, like I am my own unique individual. I have a set of skills, talents that nobody else has.
That's real.
But we kill ourselves when we try to do somebody else's, or we feel like ours ain't enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm only doing that. Some people think I'm only a teacher. It's like, yo, I walk in there happy as heck every day that I'm a teacher. That's my job. That's my thing. That's my calling. You see me in the class. I always say, man, if I was to put a camera, like a live stream in my room, more people would be teachers. Because you'd be like, dang, I get to do that. Right. As opposed to, I have to teach. I have to do that.
But I also tell people, Sammy, like, dog, everyone's passionate about
Something.
And like when you can really hone in on that thing that God gave you, and you become passionate about that, you do that with joy.
It's different,
bro.
It hit different.
It hits different.
It hits different. It hits different. It's different. What do you think about hip hop? Into like how much of hip hop is you still? Because at one point, that's all you was. That's all you was. You know, we would have we'd have the biggest hip hop conversations and whatnot, and hours. How much of that is still part of you?
I'm gonna be real with you, man. With hip hop, there's a love and hate relationship. There's parts of hip hop that have formed me, that has really raised me. When I couldn't really understand all that culture was thrown at me growing up in a predominantly white, culture neighborhood, but really being close to my homies, my cousins, my family. A lot of times music or hip hop is what I gravitated to really get a sense of understanding of identity of who I am. But there is the hate side of it, man, is I've seen where some of the toxic parts of hip hop has led astray those who are young and impressionable. But I'm gonna be real with you, man. It's still in me through and through. I still write here and there. There's still artists that I check out for. I'll be real with you. Like, I'm more of an underground.
You always been, yeah. You always
Okay, so you remember that? Okay. I've always really appreciated just some of the up and coming artists because there's just a different hunger. Yeah. There's a different grind. Even the way they write, man, it's coming from just this authentic place, man. And so I still keep in touch with hip hop, man. But like I'd say as of lately, man, there's been just some messages, whether subtle or really overt, man, that has really, I don't know, steered me in the wrong direction or steered me in the wrong way.
You know, with my whole background, I would listen to anything, and I still listen to everything once. Right?
Got you.
Send it my way. Send it my way. I'm gonna listen to it, sort it out.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I want to say I'm not gonna say the rapper name because that's just where he's at right now. Who knows where they'll be later? Yeah. But I was watching a video, man, and this guy was one of my favorite artists. He was rapping, doing his thing, and it was like a cartoon music video. Okay. And then he's on stage, and it's like a billion people watching him, and he's rapping, he's dancing, he's doing his thing, and then the songs in the video about to end, and then he puts his hands up and they go and then he's like, thank you, and he jumps off stage, and all the people move, and he falls, he goes down, and the earth opens, and that boy he went straight to hell.
What?
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yo, that took a fast turn.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I'm like, yo, they're literally putting it in the music. Some people's music, dog, is going to take you straight to, maybe not to hell, but it's going to take you to a hellacious place. It's going to take your mind to a hellacious place. So even like, what I would ask you, and this, I didn't send you this type of topic, but what's your morning routine like?
My morning routine, man. So these days, as you mentioned earlier, bro, I'm a husband. I'm a father of 3. I got 3 boys, man, aging at 8, 4, and 2. And so morning routine first is get these boys right, get them ready for school. Yeah. But I'm big on these 3 things that I want to theme throughout my day. So number 1, I want to awaken my mind with reading. So usually in the morning, man, I'm reading something, whether it's something scripture, I'm reading an article. I'm waking up my mind with something that's going to set me up for the day well. Yeah. And then throughout like that middle part of my day, man, I'm grinding, man. I'm knocking out tasks. I got a little caffeine in the system, and so I'm feeling good. I'm knocking out tasks, and then at night, I'm dreaming, bro. And I'm not talking about going to sleep to dream, but I'm revisiting things that inspired me throughout the day. Because a lot of times, if I stop and give myself to like things that inspire me in the middle of my day, bro, I start drifting. I stop focusing on the task that I got to knock out. So I really write down things that I want to revisit at night. And when I'm sitting and just winding down, I'm revisiting ideas and things that inspired me throughout the day that I want to incorporate into my life or incorporate in a future season. And so
you awaken,
I
grind,
work, and then dream. Yeah. Yeah, man. And so in that, and that could look different on the weekends. Yeah. It's the same kind of thing. And even with like writing, so I'm still big on writing. Yeah. I journal. I'm not ashamed to say that. I journal throughout my day. A lot of times people think prayer and meditation is just verbally speaking to God. But I found, man, that there's times where I can express myself best if I write.
And as a speaker, that probably helps your craft, right? It really does. So I started listening to I went to school of broadcast journalism. So I started off on the radio. Okay. That's why this was never hard. We started this up here, and it's like, oh, all right, I could start a show, I could end a show, I could transition, I could interview, I could have a conversation. But I think like I started off on the radio, and I'm also a writer. And I realized the more I wrote, the better I spoke. Okay. Yeah. That's a bar. Let me look at a camera and say that. The more I wrote, the better I spoke. Let's go. But I learned that like as I would go speak to crowds, and I do prisons, I do schools and whatnot, but every time I would go, I'm like, dang, like I'm able to rhyme on the spot. Yeah. You know what I mean? Why? That's because you done wrote some stuff that rhymed. And instead of when you get to the end of the sentence, you're like, I could say that, or I could just wait for another word. And so you kind of do that. So I've watched you speak, man, and you turned up now. Not just energy wise, but like I'm listening and I'm like, there's a cadence. You know what I mean? You're clapping in between sentences. I'm watching, bro. I'm watching.
Oh,
and I think what that helps is, as a listener, someone who's watching, a lot of times people get bored, man. Like people, you gotta remember, people are on TikTok, Reels, Shorts. The people aren't trying to hear long format.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? People aren't trying to get an hour worth. Like, I mean, like, I remember back in the day, you go to church, they speak for an hour and 10. And now it's like 35, 40, if.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he's got props, he's got to have visuals. At the end of the day, like, we're transitioning. And I think when you work with young people, you know what I mean? They are the wave. And we end up having to switch things up.
Absolutely. You know, when you even speak about music a minute ago, man, I think about one of the songs I've been having on repeat. So I'm an anomaly for some people. So I'm everything from worship to battle rap to some hip hop, some underground music. But like recently, because when you talk about youth, I'm always trying to find ways on how to connect with them.
For sure.
And like we can't doubt that music really has this generation.
Yeah.
And even, I'll be real, specifically hip hop.
Yeah.
And so, you know, with the audience that I tend to have, again, because music is in me through and through, I don't shy away from that. In fact, I spit something at church the other day. We had this production. Yeah. And I almost want to, can I spit it on the pod?
Go ahead, man.
Bro, so there's this song I've been listening to by CeCe Winans. It's called Holy Forever.
Yeah.
And so I listened to that. It's been on repeat. It's just one of those songs that, hey, it takes me to a place, man. And so I'm like, hey, let me write something to this.
Yeah.
There's a bridge in the song, so I'm like, let me write something to it. I went something like this. I was like, holy, holy, holy is the song on repeat. In heaven, on earth, we got joy on repeat. They cannot defeat the Prince of Peace. He's the gift that keeps giving so endlessly. Speaking of he, let's talk about him. He came down as a baby so you and I could be born again. I wasn't born to win, more like born in sin. He cleaned me up with frankincense, myrrh, and gold within. I'm going in. Because of Christ, I'm forgiven. One cross, 3 nails pierced through his skin. Is he just, righteous, of love? I think all of the above. Literally the epitome of all of the above. So I'm going to lift his name, praise his name. In any situation, I'm going to call his name. He is the king. He is the king. Not just, he is everything. My bad.
Hey, man. Hey, bro.
Just a little something, bro.
No, man, like, and how much of, like, I always say hip hop there's 3 parts, right? And if you listen out there's 3 parts. You're a young hip hop artist, you're a young musician. There's 3 parts of music. Number 1 is the authenticity of what you're saying. So when you write that, you feel that, right? And then there's the technicality of it, double entendre, multisyllabic rhymes, cool. And the third part is like the musicality to it, right? Does it sound good? Is there tone behind it, right? And I would even venture to say the fourth part is then what? Once you hear something, then what? Right. I heard hip hop. My first hip hop I ever heard, bro, because, you know, you Haitian, you grew up in compa, church music. My first music that I ever heard, the rap wise, was Biggie. Okay. Right. Yeah. And I sicker than your ass. I was like, he had the fly shirt. He had the thing. And I was like, this don't look like nothing I see in my neighborhood. That's real. Right. From North of Miami, original. None of this looks like what I see on this video. Wow. And then I'll listen to the words and I'm like, oh, he's fly. So what did that motivate me to do? Go get fly. Yeah. So when you do that, what you did and how you do it to the platform, then what? Like, then what do the people, how do they respond? You know, in the moment, how do they respond?
In the moment, it's like,
energy.
It's just energy and what I did so I can really track with my audience. I put up lyrics so they could follow what I was saying.
Okay.
But what I love most though is the conversations off the stage. Yeah. It's I've never seen rap that way. Yeah. But like, wow, the double entendre, the way you put that and that together and the way you made it flow, it's those kind of, I think, awakenings that I appreciate. it's the behind the scene conversations. And so for me, man, as you know, man, as first generation Haitian American, like our lives have always been, I don't want to say confusing, but just we've always been anomalies where we're not African American, we're not white, we're not just black, like we're just this anomaly. And so
Heck, half the other island don't
Bro.
like us. Yeah.
right, so for me, man, I've always appreciated like people who dare to want to know, like, man, what's your story? Because I hear this, but like I see this, so I when you do speak, man, if it comes off eloquent, like where does that come from? Yeah. And then they find out, like, man, you're not a degreed man. Like, wait, how did you pick up on this speaking gift? Again, it comes from God, but at the same time, I've learned to like fine tune and write and listen to different speakers that inspire. Yeah. And so, yeah, man, the then what for me is always what's the behind the scene conversations. Yeah. That's always what I've been enamored with. That's always what I've always looked forward to, is just like, what does this do in the hearts of the people that heard it? And I mean, what conversations take place when the music stops, when the lights are off, when the stage can't hold me no more? You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, man. And I think you have a unique opportunity to bridge, right?
That's good.
And what people don't know about, like, if you think of a bridge, dog, it's getting from one side, usually split by something, to the other side. And everybody on one side would be like, what's going on over there? We don't know. Yeah. But until you bridge them over there, it's like, oh. And then even when there is a bridge, folk won't understand you on the other side. So I think, like, I'm in a position where I'm a teacher, right? I go in there, and I had a little black boy write me a Christmas card and said I changed his life, right? And I was like, and I wanted to get back. So I remember when I read, I wanted to get back so fast and be like, what did I change, dog? Like, but a lot of times it's representation, you know what I mean? And exposure to something. I think when people are exposed, they're enlightened. That's just how life works. We on hip hop. What if old school, new school? What do you like more?
I'm old school, man.
How old? Like,
I mean, we going to Pac. We going like
Pac or Biggie? Who you?
Pac, I'm Pac, bro. I had an older brother, man, who that's all he bumped. Now, I'll be real with you, like, when it comes from like that up north, don't judge me, but no, hey, Mace was my dog. Like, I rock with Mace.
I want Mace on the podcast. Okay. I have a connect that I'm trying. I'm begging. I feel like what he does and represents is similar to right now. Like, he's in that space, right? That cultural space. And, you know, he's in that space. But he's still a believer, and he still holds certain things, and he don't say certain things, and he has limits, and he, you know what I mean? But he's in that space. And that's his homie. And I have homies that is just like Cam and just like Mo, Claret. And so I get it. But you was Mace over, okay. So, but you're saying old school, new school versus new school. Who new school do you think is at least like good? Like, you think is okay?
New school that.
Do you like Kodak? Do you think he's good?
Kodak's nice, man.
Okay. Like, do you like Youngboy? Do you think, when I say like, I'm not, you not his, that's not your demo. That's not your culture. That's not even your lifestyle. But can you look at their talent and be like, that's good?
Honestly, man, I'm not even hip to like Youngboy's catalog like that. I'm going to be real with you. I'm not even hip to his catalog. I would say newer cats, man, like, I don't know if they would consider him new, but J. Cole's nice.
Sure.
Yeah, he's nice. I'll give.
My wife loves him, so I don't like him. Why you? She'd be in there. Yeah. Why? Yeah. You learn that as you get married, that your wife has certain males that they think are so good at something, and it's like, yo, like she loves Jalen Hurts. Oh my God! He has a whole team of black women as his thing, and look at his outfit, and he was on the cover of Essence and all that stuff, and it's like, all right, girl, like, I pay the bills around here, you know, Jalen Hurts not, you know what I mean, paying the lights, you know what I mean, Jalen Hurts not, you know what I mean, going out every day, you know, somebody break in here, Jalen Hurts ain't gonna be like pew 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 pew. Yeah, you know, or like, but she loved J. Cole. She think J. Cole is like a great lyricist, and he has good messages in his stuff, and she likes him. So J. Cole,
Oh, but I'll say this because again, because I like bars.
Yeah.
Like battle rap is really what I have a high appreciation for, man. And again, bro, I could listen to a lot of people, maybe not agree with them, for sure, content wise, but like, bro, art is powerful.
so I look at it with even sports, bro. There's athletes that like Tyreek Hill. I love Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill lifestyle versus what I don't always agree with it.
Right.
But that's just, like when I watch I could tell someone's good at what they do and they work at it. So, and you know what's funny? People look at you like that. People don't agree with your lifestyle, but they look at you and they go, "Okay, that was powerful. There's a skill to that."
But even to that though, Sammy, I would say, even when you are misunderstood, even when you're doing you to the best of your ability and you're not liked, man, I'm big on like standing on conviction.
Yeah.
I think too many people don't ride out their conviction. Again, conviction is just, this strong stance on something that you believe, right?
Yeah.
Like you teach on some level, you've been teaching this long because there's a conviction
For sure.
of really being a voice to this.
And nobody can make me feel like what I'm doing is lame. As a teacher, I show up every day at 7:45. 7:45. I'm always on time, dog. I'm always on time. Punctual, but it's like I show up every day, and it's like some people are like, "Oh, you got a job, or you a teacher?" Oh, I feel bad for teachers. Like, bro, I stand strong in what I do and what I do and how I do it. I think that's what we need more of, actually. And that's one of the things I try to instill in the kids is, like, whatever your skill set is, whatever your talent is, that's yours. Yeah. Stand in that and be strong in it because that's yours. Yeah. And then it could change. Right. But if you're wishy-washy from the beginning, did you ever really, what difference did you make? You walked the earth and didn't make a difference. I always say, like, my new thing, and I said it before, is I embrace conflict. Like, I think two people can work together, crash, bump heads, disagree. As long as we respectful, we grow out of that. Mm-hmm. We've had issues where, not issues, but like, I didn't like that. I don't think that's good. Do you think about that? Yo, you believe in that? I don't believe in that. Yo, you listen to that? I do. And we go back and forth, and it's like, we grow from it. And 2-3 years later, I might not have that same stance. But because I had my conviction at that time, we were able to have a conversation, sharpen each other, and get better.
Yeah. You know what I love about standing on a conviction, man, even when it's looked upon as like lame and you out of tune, what I found is that over the years, some of the people that I end up having a conversation with who knew that younger version of me, because I've stood with the same thing for many years, like there's this appreciation that was delayed. I don't know if you understand, you heard the word delayed gratification. A lot of times when you're not accepted, like at your first arrival, man, you watch as you stand on a conviction and you live out what you've been created to do. You'll watch how the same people
come back around. We'll come back around. And if you're still doing that same thing, there's a respect for it. I always say, I try to like try everything. Like I try everything. I run into stuff to see, is that a curtain or is that a wall? Is that a curtain or is that a wall? Yeah. If I run into it and it's a curtain, guess what? I'm running through it. Boom, expansion, exposure, enlargement. I'm new levels, new experiences. Cool. If it's a wall, guess what? I'll hit it, bump my head and go, all right, so let's figure it out. And I think people don't even have that courage. The term courage of your conviction. People don't even have that courage. People are scared to start businesses, scared to go back to school, scared to date. You know what I mean? You hear that right now. And we living in a time right now where it's tough, man.
Let me ask you this though. Yeah. So even in that world of dating, so we, you know what I'm saying, we're not on the market no more. Left hand gang. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not on the market no more. Yeah. But like I get this conversation a lot. Young women, young men, like Adler, what are good men at? Like, like these men are pursuing. Adler.
But I think women, or you saying women ask you that?
Yeah, and I get conversation from men like that
asking
too.
For women.
Yeah.
I think people have they want everything so perfect that they don't, they don't have the patience. Yeah. I think patience makes people see something and say, you know what, like there could be something in that tomorrow. And I think, I started dating I met my wife at 30, right? It's a long time, right?
And we was praying for that boy. We was praying for that boy.
And I wasn't where I was at
Yeah.
right now. She wasn't where she was at.
Right.
But like we went to Hawaii last year and we was like, oh my God, goals. I'm like, you know what it was like 3 years ago?
Right.
We couldn't do that. We couldn't talk that long to each other.
Right,
You know what I mean? As you get married, you got married, and now you see like, man, I talk to my wife a lot, and these are longer conversations. But in the beginning, it was like, I'm not interested in what she's talking about.
Right.
I don't care about that. You talking about something, you're like, are you even listening?
Right.
And she'd be talking, Sammy, are you even listening? But over time, you build it. And I think right now, the generation it's short. It's TikTok, microwave, Reels, Shorts, short messages, emojis. It's fast,
it
dog.
really is.
It's fast. So there is no patience with it. And a lot of people don't have patience with their kids. They don't have patience at a job. They don't have patience with their church. They don't have patience in anything because it's like they want instant gratification. They move, and then you end up wasting just time.
Yeah.
Together, I've been with my wife 5 years total, dating, married, everything. And there's friends that she got. I won't be that personal. There's I can imagine there'd be friends that she had who's watched her in 5 years, and they didn't invest in a relationship. They didn't, there's sometimes I probably hurt my wife's feelings and she went home and she's like, damn, this guy sucks. This isn't good.
Yeah.
I'll give it another chance. Another day to where we are right now. So I think people don't have that patience. They don't have that gratitude. They want that instant gratification.
I think also too, man, people want perfection.
Facts.
They want this filtered.
Because they see it.
Because they
see it.
And on some of the guys' side of things, it's like, bro, like I'm not trying to slide in someone's DM and then get shut down. And then I get blasted for that. Like I get exposed for that. And so I think it's going to take some cultivating. There's going to take some trial and error, some conversations, some difference in preference, some cultural differences. And a lot of people are just not in for the long haul. After that desire goes away, or after that warm feeling, whatever you feel when you think is love at first sight, when that goes away, man, people just stop. People just give up. They just stop giving in or trying to understand someone for who they are.
Yeah, I think when it comes to dating right now and people right now, people just, they're giving up because they want that perfection. And the longer you wait, guess what happens? You're waiting longer. That makes sense because it's backwards. But like at the end of the day, like, people don't understand that time's gonna move. Time's gonna move. Time's gonna go. And I think it's a challenge. Let me ask you this. We're about to wrap it up, right? Let me ask you this. What's some advice you would give to someone? Because I'm about to name this whole thing conviction, right? Standing on your conviction. Talk to the people, man. What's something you would say to give them that courage, that can help them build up that courage?
Yo, man, to that question is a real good one. I'd say right now, the thing that I've really been leaning on and just constantly being reminded of is that when it comes to the goodness of God and just the goodness of life, where there's things that you experience and you get to celebrate and enjoy, just know that while you're experiencing that, trials and tribulations can coexist with that. A lot of times, because people don't have that context, they end up giving up, man, and not holding on to hope. And so I'm realizing in this season of life, as I'm walking with a elderly father who's sick, is that the goodness of God, trials and tribulation, they can coexist. And as I seek to be balanced in that and to not be too high on something and too low, and to keep the right people around me to where I can bounce ideas off of and I can be vulnerable with and tell them what I'm going through, I'm finding that is in those relationships and those conversations, I'm able to stay balanced and realize that, hey, I can wake up tomorrow. I can continue going. I can continue being me even when I'm not accepted by the masses. And so I would encourage somebody, man, hey, surround yourself with people that can fuel that conviction, that can remind you who you are. Because a lot of times this world and some of the systems that we part of, man, they don't care who you really are. So when you keep those kind of people around you that know you for who you really are, you'll find that you're able to stay balanced and continue to stay inspired and true to who you are.
I appreciate you, man. I think conversation need to be conversation kind of even to be longer to keep it real with you, and we'll bring you back on. I think the coolest part is, like I told you, growth. Yeah. From where you've been to where I've been, we don't grew a lot, and I think now that my father passed, I'm about to be a father. I got the white all this stuff is starting to make sense a little more. Why I'm here. And, I look up to you and what you're doing. And even if we don't talk every day, every week, there's a certain element of I'm rooting for you from afar. So I'm excited to see where you take this, because like I say, you trailblazing. There's a lot of stuff you're doing where it's like, oh, Adler wilding out there. He trying that. All right. I'm going to call him about that one day, see what that's like, because we'll see how it's received. Then what? You know me for a lot of things. So I appreciate you, man. And I love you, man. You're my boy, man. So listen, we hear the podcast, not cry. So we're not even going to do none of that emotional stuff. This is the Sammy Rigaud podcast. We are sponsored by the Georgia Educators for Equity and Justice. You get their info in there. Listen, this is the Sammy Rigaud podcast, giving you the inside information from the inside. So thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, turn the notification bell on, and let's have a conversation. What's your conviction, and are you standing on it? That's a good one. That's what we'll leave at. God bless y'all.